I'm super happy. So I'm going to start with my own personal feelings about this whole thing. Like I'm super happy that I was invited by Milos to Montenegro. Like this is my last name is probably very well known to everybody from Montenegro around here, but I'm not from Montenegro, although everybody thinks I'm a Montenegrin. But my first time here ever, I'm super proud to be at Monte Games. I'm super proud that there is so many of you in here because this reminds me of what we started doing 10 years ago. We're back home in Dubrovnik when everybody from the United States and the Western world were laughing at us when we were starting our conference, which became to be like the third biggest games industry conference in the world, the Reboot Develop. Here on my left is one of the biggest legends of the games industry, Jonas, the CEO, ex-CEO from Fury, a guy from Iceland that became a Swedish citizen, started Raw Fury, built it in one of the biggest indie labels in the world, got a huge investment, built an even bigger company that's now overreaching over Raw Fury and doing so many cool things within indie space. And he's basically now in Montenegrin as well. Like, you're living in Montenegro, right, Jonas?
True. I live here now. Wow. That was not the reception I got at home. But, no. Thank you. Amazing work by Milos and his merry band of helpers creating this, and it's great to see like a full auditorium of people showing up and coming to this. I think coming originally from another, actually a smaller country than Montenegro, coming from Iceland, a small island of like 360,000 people, like half the size of Montenegro, having struggled decidedly because I wanted to be in this industry. I wanted to be a part of making, by the way, I'm literally talentless. The only thing I can do is like make companies and then like somehow speak words and get people to believe in them.
And invest millions of dollars.
And that as well, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, I mean, coming out of that environment, right, having made myself in that environment, and then now living here in Montenegro, which is another small country, with an incredible touching point, a start point to make something in this industry. You have Croatia to the right, Serbia to the left.
Different left, right.
And
yeah.
you have an insane talent pool. You have people that are passionate, that want to build, thrive, and create something in this, that want to create artistry and push it out into the world. So I want to thank Milos for making this happen, and I think that what you're going to see is this conference happening year from year from year, growing from strength to strength to strength. And I'm very grateful to be here.
So Jonas and me don't have a specific topic that we know to talk about, but like let's say that our mission at this stage right now is to try to talk with you guys about trying to build something incredible out of nothing, because I think both of us did that, and I think that's what Milos is doing right now, is like building incredible worldwide success within a super competitive games industry with minor resources and pouring in all of the sweat and blood and most of all passion. That's why we are here as well, to support what Monte Games is doing, because we think that you guys are doing an awesome job. But like this is exactly what we did when we were starting. When Jonas started Raw Fury, like come on, like it was like few people, it was few guys with a your vision and a grand idea, and now it's 100 plus people company doing some of the most awesome artistic indie games within like worldwide games industry, commercially successful, one of the very few companies that within last few years, within like the last few very challenging years for the games industry, didn't fire a single person for the reason that everybody else was unfortunately forced or was firing around the world because last few years were challenging. The different side of things, us in Croatia, when we were starting our small conference 10, 11 years ago, everybody was thinking that we're mad, that we're insane, because everybody was saying, oh, ex-Yugoslavia, what's that? Like, you guys don't have a games industry. Why are you even fucking trying to build a games industry conference over there? Are you fucking insane? And those kind of words kind of motivated us to create what is now the third. It's not even about the biggest, but like one of the most impactful games industry conferences in the world. I don't know how many of you know about Reboot Develop in Dubrovnik, or Reboot Develop in Canada, or Reboot Develop that we are starting in Japan in next year. But it is one of the most impactful conferences out there. It was created by a tiny group of Croatians with the help from Serbia, Montenegro region, some Icelandic people, some Swedish people, some American people that trusted in it. Not a lot of resources, a lot of passion, a lot of blood, a lot of goodwill. So Jonas, how did it all start on your side?
How did it start?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, right? And I think a lot of people here recognize the environment that you can't really have a conversation with your parents or your family about, like, I want to make games. That's not a viable career. It's not a thing, right? I was fighting that 25 years ago, back in Iceland. I was like, become a lawyer, go fishing, do something else. Like, this is not a thing. And it's interesting because, you know, games are the only creative medium, like within the industry. All of us recognize at this point that games are an artistic medium, right? And we can, inside of the industry and to each other, we can speak about it. But at the same time, you can sit at any dinner table with various family members and friends, like from various ages, and there's nothing wrong if you stop the conversation and you say, like, oh my God, I saw a movie yesterday and it literally changed my life. Like, I am not the same person I was going in and the one I came out, right? And nobody at the table will balk at that conversation. Everybody will go like, oh, tell me about the movie, tell me about, like, you know. We're still not at a point where we can do that with games. We can't have the same conversation on the very dinner table going like, oh my God, I played the game yesterday and it just fucking changed my life. Your dad will go like, and I think you are probably still there as a country in terms of the acceptance of that making games is an actual thing. Not just an actual thing, but it's the biggest cultural thing in the world. It overtook music in the late 1990s. It overtook movies in the early 2000s. It is the biggest cultural industry in the world. And it is, to an extent, ridiculous that we still have to fight for legitimacy. And I believe that that is the situation you are in. I was in that position 25 years ago when I started my journey in Iceland. It's not easy, it's not fun, it's not pleasant. But you know what? We do it because we're passionate, we do it because we care, we do it because games fucking matter. And tying back into your question, Damira, that's where I started.
So 25 years later, Jonas has built one of the biggest indie publishing empires in the world, which he forgot to talk about. So I'm going to tell you more about him. So they did Raw Fury. They have published some of the best indie art titles out there, made a commercial success out of them, which is pretty challenging thing nowadays, where even like the awesome AAA games don't sell, let alone the games focused on art or something which has like a bigger vision that's not just money. So yeah, so Jonas is now in a position where after his long time career, he's able to help and support a lot of communities all around the world. I'm really happy that he's supporting ours, like our regional one, the Montenegrin one, where he now lives. He supported the Croatian one. He started a huge studio in Croatia that's also part of the Fury family right now. It was basically more or less the same with me personally. Like when I started my own thing, we started super small. We thought that nobody within the region is doing video games. We were actually, everybody within the region, the politicians, even the small studios that we knew at that time, and that was very, like, it was not that long time ago, it was 12 years ago. They were telling us a story of like, who the fuck wants to deal with video games and game development that's financially not fruitful. There are basically 6 or 7 companies in the whole region, and then when we were first doing the first ever Reboot Develop conference which didn't happen in Dubrovnik, the first one happened in Zagreb. There's going to be a movie about it one day. So what we did was we sat in a car, my ex-wife now, like the wife at that time, and we traveled the whole region, the whole wider region, getting introduced to studios, to game development studios that existed. The studios within Serbia, and there were quite a few of them at that time, they didn't know each other. I know that I have, like, there's somebody here from Nordius, right? I met the guy here. There are a few of you. So your CEO didn't know the CEO of Apex or CEO of Manhattan. Those guys didn't talk together. None of the studios from Croatia talked to each other. They were not even aware that it existed. And like within 3 months, we figured out that within the region there was 1,000 and something people actually developing games and doing awesome stuff. That was 12 years ago. Now the numbers are pretty wild. Like we don't have a definite number. Our associations are claiming this and that. I was founder of more than a few associations around the region. So we have anywhere between 6,000 and 10,000 people working with the video games industry in our region. All of our countries have some of the biggest successes with the games industry. Some of the coolest games are being developed by our studios. They're based here, but not even that. Some of the biggest Serbian game developers, some of the biggest Croatian and Montenegrin game developers are actually working for some of the biggest studios all around the world and running them. It's like the guy who is actually head of, I was just telling it to some of my friends here, who is head of Dungeons and Dragons at Wizards of the Coast is actually half Montenegrin, half Croatian. Like some of the heads of Blizzard are from here. So our region has become one of the, I would say, breeding grounds for some of the leaders within global video games industry. I'm super proud of that.